Wow. Hello. My name is Alf. Well, I used to be called Alfred. But when I was young, my mum got fed up of saying, Alfred read that. And she got confused on how many reds to say in a sentence. She'd say, Alfred read that. 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 So she called me Alf. Alf read that. 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 And it was true. Every time I saw a book, I read it. I love to read. Do you know why? The adventure. And I can go anywhere in the world without moving from here. Do you know what I use? Yeah, my imagination. And when I read, my imagination can go wild. Do you know who's my favourite author? Roald Dahl. His imagination is amazing. And do you know, his books have been translated to about 60 different languages all over the world. Do you know that Roald Dahl, he was born in Cardiff, our capital city. And there's an amazing book called Boy that tells stories about him when he was a young boy living in Llandaf. Now today, I am going to try and pick my favourite Roald Dahl book. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done since I was fighting a gorilla on the moon. I've narrowed it down to my favourite 5 books. Here we go. The first book is James and the Giant Peach. This is a story about a boy called James Henry Trotter. Well, it starts a bit sad because his parents have been killed by a rhinoceros in a zoo in London. So he has to stay with 2 horrible aunties, Auntie Sponge and Auntie Spiker. Auntie Spiker is tall, skinny, and she spits when she speaks a chavi. Imagine what kind of woman she would be. I'll be her. Tall, skinny. Right then, James, you horrible little boy. Roald Dahl describes Auntie Sponge like a great white, soggy, overboiled cabbage. How would she look? Now, James isn't happy at all. Not like you. He doesn't meet his friends doing fun stuff at all. Nah. Until something magical happens. He goes on an adventure with some amazing friends on a giant peach. But who are the amazing friends?
Miss Spider, a green grasshopper, ladybird, earthworm, silkworm.
And I'll be James, the hero. And we go on an adventure. But if you want to know exactly what goes on, all you need to do is read. It's all in the book. Book number 2, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Do you like chocolate? I love chocolate. Have you met Charlie Bucket? What about Willy Wonka? Huh? Mr. Wonka can make marshmallows that taste of violets and rich caramels that change colour every 10 seconds as you suck them, and little feathery sweets that melt away deliciously the moment you put them between your lips. He can make chewing gum that never loses its taste, and sugar balloons that you can blow to enormous sizes before you pop them and gobble them back. Now, in this story, 5 kids go on an adventure in a factory, a special factory. But how do they get picked? Aha! Talking Eyre, golden ticket. They were hiding in the Wonka bars. And who was first to find one? Augustus Gloop. Then Veruca Salt. She was a bit nasty. Violet Beauregard. Do you remember what she did all the time? Yeah. Then, yeehaw! Mike TV. Loved cowboys on the TV. And then there was Charlie Bucket. And every day, Charlie Bucket grew thinner and thinner. His face became frighteningly white and pinched. The skin was drawn so tightly over the cheeks that you could see the shapes of the bones underneath. It seems doubtful whether he could go on much longer like this without becoming dangerously ill. Poor Charlie. But they do go on a great adventure. They sail on a river of chocolate. Meet the Oompa Loompas. And if you want to know exactly what's going on in the book, all you need to do is read. It's all in the book. Book 3, The Twits. This is a story about Mr. and Mrs. Twit. Mr. Twit was one of those very hairy-faced men. Mrs. Twit was no better than her husband. She did not, of course, have a hairy face, but she was very ugly. The funny thing is that Mrs. Twit wasn't born ugly. She had quite a nice face when she was young. The ugliness had grown upon her year by year as she got older. If a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show on the face. And when that person has ugly thoughts every day, every week, every year, the face gets uglier and ugly until it gets so ugly you can't hardly bear to look at it. A person who has good thoughts cannot ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose and a crooked mouth and a double chin and stick out teeth. But if you have a good thought, they will shine out of your face like sunbeams and you will always look lovely. Well, this book is about a horrible couple, Mr. and Mrs. Twit. And Mr. Twit keeps a family of monkeys, the Mugglewumps, kept in a cage in the bottom of the garden. And Mr. Twit forces them to do circus tricks upside down because he wants to open the first great upside down monkey circus. Until a colourful bird, the roly-poly bird, helps them to escape, and they get Mr. and Mrs. Twit back with great pranks. If you want to know what they are, all you need to do is read. It's all in the book. Oh, sorry. Book number 4, the BFG. Not often I say I'd like to be a little girl, but if I was a girl, I'd buy a pink bike with yellow ribbons and I'd go quickly in the wind. I'd look so beautiful. Oh, I said that out loud. I'd like to be like this girl, Sophie, in the story. She gets kidnapped by a giant, but the big, friendly giant. And they battle against the other horrible giants. Here are the names. The Flesh Lump Eater, the Bone Crusher, Man Hugger, Child Chewer, Meat Dripper, Guzzled Gulper, Maid Masher, Blood Bottler. Do you know what the big friendly giant collected? Dreams, yeah. Using these, and would collect them in the bottles. One more funny thing. The BFG used different words to you and me. And if you want to learn them all you need to do is read. It's all in the book. Oh, that's a good one. Book number 5, The Witches. Oh, a scary one. Because the witches look like normal people. They might be a bit posh, but they're dangerous. And this story is told by a mouse. Well, he used to be a boy, but he got turned into a mouse. And his grandmother gave him clear instructions on how to recognise a witch. And I think we should go through them now. First, a witch's hand. They didn't have any nails, so they would be wearing gloves. Oh. A witch's head. They didn't have any hair. Ta-da! But they weren't walking around like this. They were wearing a wig. Huh? Oh, it's itchy. Ow. Oh. A witch's nose. They had massive nostrils, so they could smell children from the other side of the street. A witch's eyes would change colour, so they'd wear sunglasses. Huh? A witch's feet are disgusting. They don't have any toes. They were square, like bricks. So they would be wearing high heels. Yes. Huh? Oh. And they would walk a bit funny, like this. These are quite comfortable. Ooh. Oh. And if you looked closely in their mouth, they'd look a bit blue. I'm not a witch, but I'm going to keep these shoes. And if you want to know more about what happens in the story, all you need to do is read. It's all in the book. So here are my favourite Roald Dahl books. But which one is the best? Is it James and the Giant Peach? Or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? The Twits? The BFG? Or the Witches? I can't choose one. I know. I'll read them all again. And I hope you can do the same as well. They are amazing. Go then.